Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, worshippers of all ages, welcome to YouTube. My name is SeaRaptor, and it's time for more Scuttlebutt. That's right, I'm actually going to do these in back-to-back weeks. We kind of gotten out of the habit this year. I was really good for a while doing these once a week, but then the news cycle is kind of slowed down a little bit here, and I've kind of stretched these out to every 10 days, every 14 days. But this week, I feel the need to do one for a variety of reasons, and so here we are. This week's game in the background, brought to you by Tier 10 Russian cruiser Alexander Nevsky. Nevsky, of course, is atop the old Russian cruiser line. They split things off a few months ago and shuffled it all around. And so Nevsky takes the place of the old Tier 10 Russian cruiser Moskva. Moskva now has she's like premium or special or something. I don't really remember the classification they gave the ship, but she's not in the tech tree anymore. Nevsky here has taken her place. And Nevsky, I find Nevsky to be a very, very good kind of follow-on, let's say, to Dmitry Donskoy. Of course, she has fewer barrels than Dmitry Donskoy. She's a much higher rate of fire. She has about some very similar hull characteristics in terms of overall length and handling and speed and everything. But Nevsky here is a pretty solid little ship. Overall, this is a really good game for me. Unfortunately, it is a complete train wreck for my team. And I'm going to pick on battleships for a minute, because I have not played too many games lately where I just was like literally pulling my hair out, but this is one of them. This game, I watched battleships just make horrible positional choice. Every battleship on my team, like a horrible positional choice. I think our Isle was AFK for a while. He had connection problems. I've got two Georges sitting on the 1-2 line who have 40 knots of speed to play with, and they're playing bow and tanky stationary games. The Broadside Kurfürst on the 10 line, the Missouri on the 8 line who reverses all game, and then I'm in the middle of all this chaos trying to hold back the flood of enemy ships pushing into our face. How does it turn out? Well, I won't spoil it for you. I have a good game. Let's just say the team doesn't have a very good game, and you can infer from that what you want. But Nevsky is a really, really solid ship. This particular Nevsky build is actually, the way I have mine tailored, is like a full AA build. I even use the AA modification in slot 6, which I know a lot of people will roll their eyes at, but I really like it because it puts up a ton of flak with defensive fire active, and I don't know, I like it. I've had times where I've had Hakuryus come to try to drop me, and drop AP bombs on me in this ship, and between the flak and defensive fire and my maneuvering and the focus sector, that squadron disappears before it drops, which is something that everybody says, oh, that can't happen. Well, it can. It's not normal, it's not common, because it requires the carrier player to fly through a bunch of flak, but it can happen. Anyways, enjoy the game. Enough gabbing about that. What's going on in shooty belts? Well, mostly a couple of recap things I want to hit. First up, guys, I want to talk about things happening on Twitch over the course of the next week. Tomorrow, literally tomorrow, Saturday morning here in the States, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific, and I think it's like 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, UTC, I will be doing my 5,000 follower celebration on Twitch. So I've got a whole laundry list of premium ships to give away. Let me go through the list real quick. Here we go. I'm going to be giving away a Murmansk, an Exeter, a Molotov, a Perth, a Z39, a Duca degli Abruzzi, Scharnhorst, Kidd, Cossack, Kaga, Massachusetts, Alaska, and Pommern. I'll be giving all of those away on my stream tomorrow, Saturday the 17th of October. Come on by. It does not matter what server you play on, what region of the world you live in. Those I'll just get your name and your account info, send that to Wargaming, and all that stuff will get issued to you probably next week. But come on by and take a chance at winning some free stuff. I also have to highlight that next week, in the middle of the week, it should be the 21st of October, is the 5th anniversary of the founding of the Church of Hindenburg. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, it's been almost 5 years since the release of the German cruiser line, and next week I'm going to run a celebration, a Hindenburg-only stream that I'm going to do in celebration of this glorious event, one of the high holy days of the Church of Hindenburg here in October, and that'll be next week. We'll do that on stream. Come on by. I'm thinking, like, Wednesday is the day, but I haven't decided if I'm going to celebrate it on Wednesday or Thursday or Tuesday yet. So here's the thing, guys. Follow me on Twitch. Every Monday morning on Twitch, I post my schedule for the week, and that will let you know which day I'm planning on doing this, or conversely, you can just go throw me a follow on Twitch and keep an eye out over there when the notification comes through and drop on by. But I'm going to be doing a Hindenburg-only stream next week to celebrate the founding of our glorious faith and celebrating the Holy Hindenburg. I also think what I'm going to do that night, instead of giving away digital prizes, I have a whole stack of t-shirts that I managed to bogart from the very last Anchors Away event of 2019, which was back at USS Kidd in February, back before the world ended. And I have a variety. I think I have about a half dozen of these shirts I got to get rid of. So my plan at the moment is I think I'm gonna put those shirts up and to give away on stream. And as long as you guys are comfortable, if you win, you got to give me your address. I got to mail the thing to you. But as long as you're comfortable with that, we'll figure that out and get that in the mail to you. Okay, I've got a variety of sizes too, so don't freak out about that. Like I'll have to check, but I think I've got one of everything, even all the way up to like XXX or something. Okay, so I'm gonna be giving away some T-shirts, some actual physical prizes to celebrate the one of the high holy days of the Church of Hindenburg next week on Twitch. Huge shout out and thanks to Wargaming for a variety of things. One, to the EU guys, that's Mr. Conway and Chrysantos, for having myself and Lord Zath on the international cast of the King of the Sea international bracket both days, both Saturday and Sunday last weekend. Zath and I had a real blast doing that. That's the first time, guys, the first time in almost 3 years of doing cross-server tournaments that anybody outside of the EU has been invited to participate in a cast like that. At least certainly anybody on NA has been invited. And Zath and I have gotten some feedback over the years that there have been a lot of unhappy people when NA has previously done server clashes with EU and there were no NA casters on the stream, the final, like the Wargaming coverage of the clash. We've had NA casters have been able to cover that event, such an event on their own, but never as a part of the big cast with everybody in it until now. And I think the impression that I was left with from Conway and Chrysantos was that technically everything worked fine, they were happy to have us, and that we'll get the opportunity to go back, next time something like this occurs. So I'm excited for that. It's taken us a while to finally kind of cross the threshold and break in, let's say, but at least we're finally there. And I feel like that's going to be a good experience going forward. We had a blast doing it. Technically, it wasn't. There's some back-end stuff that has to happen in terms of how we set the Zoom call up and resize screens and yada yada yada. But it works out, and we invest the time to up front to do it. It comes out. The whole thing comes together really, really nicely, and I had a blast doing it. Little bit of news in terms of dev blog. There's some balance changes coming. They're continuing to buff Hawkins. It seems like not a single patch goes by that Tier 5 heavy cruiser, British heavy cruiser Hawkins, HMS Hawkins, doesn't get some kind of main battery buff. And it's funny because my fellow clanmate Griefer is probably just laughing hysterically and drooling. He really likes this ship already. Honestly, this ship is not that bad, but apparently from a damage perspective, she continues to underperform versus a lot of her competition at Tier 5. British Tier 8 carrier Implacable getting some buffs to her level bombers. This is probably necessary. They're starting to incrementally bring these bombs up a bit, and I feel like that's necessary because so many of the ships in her matchmaking, these bombs just shatter against the deck armor they have. So, Implacable, when she uses these things, she's really trying to get fires, right? She might get some pens on the superstructure, or I'm really thinking about when she drops these on battleships. She drop these on cruisers, you'll do some decent damage, and God forbid a destroyer. But against a battleship, which is the easy target, right? Given the reticle and the speed of these bombs, she just doesn't get much, maybe get a fire, but lots and lots of shatters. So they're trying to bring that up a little bit, and I think Implacable in particular needs that. I don't think Furious does at Tier 6. Furious gets the targets that Furious drops her bombs on have generally less protection in her matchmaking brackets, whereas Implacable will see Tier 10 battleships, and I'll just throw one out there, a Kremlin will just laugh at these bombs. They just it's a joke, right? So they need a little bit of love there, and they're getting it here. Some changes to the new Russian cruisers. Tier 8's Talon is getting a small main battery reload buff and a small detection nerf. Then you have Riga at Tier 9, again getting a small main battery reload buff and a small detection nerf. And then once again at Tier 10, Tier 10 Russian cruiser Petropavlovsk getting yet another detection nerf, literally like one patch after she just got one. I think it kind of acknowledges some of the balance issues they've had with Petropavlovsk. A lot of folks have highlighted for a very, very, very long time, pretty much since this ship was, being tested way back, that a ship this size with this much HP, these guns, and the radar, everything, being able to stealth radar was just ludicrous and ridiculous. and it seems that whatever internal balancing numbers Wargaming monitors finally agree with that impression, and they're adjusting accordingly. They're making some changes to the Italian battleships before they get released. The mid-tier battleships are having the exhaust smoke generator removed. If you remember from the Italian cruiser line, this is that rolling smoke that covers up the ship while it moves at full speed. Originally, this smoke was supposed to be available pretty much throughout the line. They're removing it now from the Tier 6 and the Tier 7 ships. Presumably now this will be a high-tier reward that you'll pick up on these Italian battleships starting at Tier 8 and then carrying on up to Tier 9 and Tier 10. Ships that are in testing, and this is actually a relevant conversation because I've got videos up on the channel about some of these ships. Tier 10's Plymouth has had 2 different buffs in the last couple of weeks. Her reload speed is now down to 6 seconds, and she's going to get the British acceleration, British light cruiser acceleration, which apparently she didn't have. I didn't know this, but apparently she doesn't have that crazy, fast off the mark British light cruiser acceleration, and her reload time is now down to 6 seconds on the main battery. This ship is starting to find an identity. I pointed out in my video repeatedly, like, I don't feel like the ship has a good place. Like, why would I take this over a Minotaur? With these buffs and the stuff that the tweaks they've been making to the ship, I feel like she's going to find a niche. She's, again, it's the smoke radar combo, and the fact that she now has at least kind of comparable hull performance and comparable DPM to Minotaur. And if anything, she's actually a little tankier than Minotaur because of her armor scheme. And then, of course, but she lacks that crazy heal. Tier 8 British cruiser Belfast 43 getting a main battery reload nerf. Out from 9 seconds, where it is right now, all the way to 10.5 seconds. This feels terrible. This is a ship that already has, like, short duration radar, maybe only 25 seconds, and now she's going to get basically 2 salvos of her guns. Alright, we'll see. I don't know. I'm not convinced that Belfast 43 is going to be an amazing ship anyway, but obviously she's performing well enough. Otherwise, we wouldn't be, nerfing her, so, okay. Tier 9 Japanese battleship Heisen getting a nerf to her range, her turret traverse speed, and her detection. Okay, that seems reasonable. Right now, she was almost kicking the crap out of Izumo in all these categories, and I think they're trying to find a niche for her where she's not strictly better in all ways. So, okay, makes sense. Tier 7 French premium battleship Strasbourg. These are some changes that I don't understand, right? I did a Strasbourg video. I don't understand why that ship exists. It's essentially a Tier 6 ship. They've moved up to Tier 7 with almost no changes other than increasing her reload speed and giving her the main battery reload booster. Well, now they're increasing her main battery reload speed from 21 seconds, where it is right now, out to 24 seconds. Okay. And then they're going to increase the reload time, the cooldown time on the main battery reload booster consumable itself from 2 minutes out to 3 minutes. Okay. I don't understand. I don't understand why that's going to make this ship attractive, because to me it's not going to make this ship attractive. Like, she already wasn't attractive and now you're just making it worse? I don't know what's happening. Tier 6 premium Commonwealth cruiser Missouri is finally going to get the British light cruiser AP shell performance in terms of arming threshold and fuse arming time. This is going to make her guns perform like those of Tier 7 British light cruiser HMS Fiji. So now she will finally at last offer something different from Perth. Perth will sit in this little niche at Tier 6 as a premium Commonwealth cruiser where she has HE and traditional AP shells and the rolling smoke. And now Missouri will come in, Mysore will come in adjacent to her at Tier 6 and offer players that British light cruiser mechanics with the rolling smoke instead of the stationary smoke. So that'll be nice. She's got a niche now. She has a role. And then let's see what we got in here. Tier 6 Italian Destroyer. This is Leone. They're really ramping up her torpedo tube reload time. I kind of like this. Leone, I have not played this ship again since we had her the first time, but they haven't significantly changed her. When I played Leone last, which was like a year ago, or something crazy like this, she had the ability to really spam these 12-kilometer torpedoes, but she doesn't need it, right? Leone is a bully. She has a crazy alpha strike with her guns, which reloads slowly, but hit really hard when you can put all those shells on target. And the torpedoes are almost an afterthought, because she only has double tubes, so she can't put that many torpedoes into the water in general. They're pretty slow. They're only like 50 knots. And so now they're kind of trying to remove that arrow from her quiver and really focus her in as a gunboat, and I think that makes sense. And then you have, last but not least, Tier 9 Premium German Destroyer Z44. They're making some improvements here to her AP shells, which I find to be, honestly, very interesting. The arming threshold is going up, the guaranteed ricochet angle is going down, and the auto bounce angles are going down. It's going to give this ship a much different identity and a lot more incentive to fire AP than even I think some of the other German destroyers already have. I'll be really curious to try this when it finally comes through. There's some promise here. If I'm honest, I'd like to see them try and roll these changes out to perhaps the entire rest of the German destroyer line. I think that would be really awesome. But for the moment, they're going to run them out here, and we'll see what happens. Alright, so that's kind of it for news, other than the usual shout out for the forum contest, of course. Make sure you go over to the forums, enter that, win some free loot, and so on and so forth. Anyway, guys, that ought to wrap it up for this week. I do appreciate hanging out with me here. Hope you enjoyed the game, and Nevsky didn't end very well. In fact, it's hilarious. I did die right there at the very end, but it was too late for the game and the server to register the kill, so I actually got credit for a dreadnought in a game that technically I died in. It can happen sometimes, but it is an odd circumstance. Anyways, you guys have a great weekend. Come on by Twitch tomorrow. Try and win some free stuff. Be safe out there. Wash your hands, and I'll catch you next time.